For her to educate them, give them skills, vocation, and get them married was revolution.
While Ramabai made great strides among outcast women, Christianity made few gains in India. Thousands of years ago, well before the birth of Jesus, sages stood on the riverbanks of India and chanted. Their song was said to have been inspired by the breath of God. More than 15,000 of these chants were collected to form the basis of a religion called Hinduism. As Hinduism evolved over the centuries, it proved remarkably able to absorb tenets of other faiths. In the 1800s, it embarked upon a rigorous debate of Jesus.
Well, the Hindu Renaissance of the 19th century is without a doubt takes place because of the introduction of Jesus Christ into Hinduism.
In the case of some of these reformers during the 19th century Hindu Renaissance, Jesus was a moral teacher and was integrated into what in traditional Hindu practice would be a kind of dharma yoga, karma yoga, a way of action, ethics, proper way of life.
Hindus had no difficulty seeing Jesus as both man and God.
Indians generally see Christ in two kinds of ways. One as a guru, as a teacher. Then you have a whole set of Indians who would see Jesus as an avatar.
An avatar in Sanskrit is a human embodiment of divinity.
But in a faith with more than 300 million gods, Hindus were not prepared to embrace the monotheism of Christianity.
No Indian would have a problem accepting that Jesus is one of the incarnations of God. They do have a problem when Christians claim that that is the only incarnation of God.
Nevertheless, the teachings of Jesus continue to inspire countless Hindus, including a 20th century reformer named Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi led India in its struggle for independence. One of his most powerful weapons was inspired by the example of Jesus. This was non-violence.
The idea that if someone strikes you on one cheek, do not retaliate, turn the other cheek, was really what pacifism or non-violence as a strategy for social change was, which comes from Christ.
All the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, he would refer very frequently to the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus Christ.
Especially the passage where Jesus asked people to love their enemies. So that was very attractive to him.
Mahatma Gandhi never faltered in understanding himself as a Hindu, and yet when his biographer visited him in his ashram, the one picture on the wall of Gandhi's little cottage was a picture of Jesus. And he said to him, well, why is that the only picture that you have? And he said, well, he's the teacher who was most influential in my life of all the teachers.
Jesus expressed as no other could the spirit and will of God. It is in this sense that I see him as the Son of God. I believe that he belongs not solely to Christianity, but to the entire world, to all races and people.
In India, where the caste system remains despite laws against it, Christianity's greatest impact continues to be among the poor.
India has always been a place that's difficult for Christianity to come in. Nonetheless, when it has had success, it's always been among the Dalit, the poor, the outcast, the people who, in the Hindu structure, are on the bottom rung. When they read about Jesus, they understand Jesus. Jesus is one of them. He's an outcast. He was one who was betrayed.
For the poor, the most striking message of the gospel is the equality of all people. Few understood this better than a young nun named Agnes Boyashin, better known as Mother Teresa. She worked as a teacher in a girls' school until she heard God's call for her to serve the sick and dying on Calcutta's streets.
She went after the excluded people, the completely unwanted, neglected, and she showed so much of love for them, so much of love.
In 1948, Mother Teresa opened up a home for the dying and destitute in a Hindu temple that had been abandoned.
We can all together proclaim the joy of spreading peace, the joy of loving one another, and the joy acknowledging that the poorest of the poor are our brothers and sisters.
When Mother Teresa died in 1997, thousands lined the streets to pay respect to this very public follower of Christ.
Mother Teresa is revered not only by Indian Christians, but by Hindus as well.
For many Indians in the 20th century, Mother Teresa was their only experience of Jesus. Today, Christians comprise only 3% of the population, but their effect has been extraordinarily broad. Christians have had a striking impact in women's education, healthcare, and advocating equality for all of India's people. In India, the church struggled to influence society, but in its vast neighbor to the north, China, the church struggled just to survive. In 1583, an Italian Jesuit, fresh out of the seminary, arrived in China. He was Matteo Ricci, and he came with new ideas and great enthusiasm. His master plan for converting all of China to Christianity was simple. He only needed to win over the emperor.
Matteo Ricci was trying a strategy that's been tried elsewhere to achieve mass conversion by converting the ruler, the leading political authority. You know, if you get the king, you get all the commoners.
Matteo Ricci, first of all, was a person of the Renaissance, and so he was a person whose understanding of Jesus was one that was both part of the Middle Ages, but also a part of this new modern thinking and modern world. And he understood that Jesus had to be communicated in, for example, a Chinese way. And so he presented a Jesus of wisdom, we might say, to the Chinese, the very thing which would communicate to the people in power.
Matteo Ricci and his fellow missionaries adopted the dress and manners of the Confucian scholar elite. He studied Chinese literature and religion, finding parallels between Confucian thought and Christianity.
Of all the pagan sects known to Europe, I know of no people who fell into fewer errors in the early ages of their antiquity than did the Chinese. In this particular respect, they seem to be quite the equals of our own most distinguished philosophers.
Matteo Ricci translated the Ten Commandments into Chinese and wrote a pamphlet called The Doctrine of the God of Heaven.